Do you ever have one of them days where everything just keeps going just a little bit wrong? Not big problems, just little ones. I've just found out I was just halfway through filming and the SD card ran out of memory, so I took the camera apart to pull the SD card out and put a new one in, and just got it all back together and assembled back on the tripod, and then the battery went flat. So yeah, it just seems to be a day of little minor disasters. And I've forgotten where we are. I think what I was about to do is I was going to plug this digital DVM into the output of the amplifier into the right hand channel. So you can all see what I'm doing, so if I'm doing it wrong just shout, I'm sure I'll hear you. I'm guessing that's showing us a DC offset, which is around 30 something millivolts, which is the figure that we recorded earlier. So that's, yeah, probably about right from what I think. So we'll put this into the AC volt setting now, and we will let's just take another temperature reading. 34 degrees, but that feels cold to me. So the amplifier's been on for a few hours, and this is just set at its quiescent state, and 29 degrees, but I don't know, I'd actually say it feels cooler than that. I mean, it's, yeah, fine, it's cool. Right, okay, output plugged in. We need to, is the volume turned down? Yes. Let's plug the signal generator in. I'm going to do that again because I'm like an idiot. Plug the signal generator in. Remember, that's just connected to the line in input. And the what have we got the signal generator set off? I forgot. We've got it set to 10 kilohertz at the moment. Tell you what, let's just change it to 5 kilohertz. No particular reason. I've just turned the measure function on so we can keep an eye on it. So in theory, the only thing that I have to do now is turn the volume up. Just looking at my quick reference chart here, what we'll actually do is we'll crank up the volume level until the RMS voltmeter indicates 4 volts, which will be 2 watts. So we've got the output voltage now at 4 volts RMS, and I can actually hear what I think would be the 5 kilohertz sine wave. I can actually hear it coming from the amplifier section. So there's obviously some components resonating in sympathy to what it's doing. It's kind of normal, that, I think. But I think, considering I was complaining about everything overheating before, what we'll do is let's just leave it at that and keep an eye on everything for a bit. So I don't know if that is in focus. Annoying thing about this meter is it keeps switching itself off. So what time is it now? It's nearly 25 past 2 on a Sunday afternoon. So let's just leave that for 15 minutes. I'm going to sit in my chair and watch some YouTube videos, and what we'll do, we'll just keep an eye on it and see if that heats up at all. This heatsink is particularly rubbish. It's just a piece of bent aluminium. It's probably got a Oh, I don't know. I was trying to think of something funny to say there. The cooling capacity of something with quite a poor cooling capacity. I'll bring you back later. Right, we're 5 minutes into our little soak test, and the output stage is yeah. I can just keep my hands on it now. It's up at 54 degrees, and yeah, that feels quite warm to me now. I'm just going to leave it running for 15 minutes in total. I just want to see if the temperature keeps climbing. You know, if it appears to be running away with itself. The dummy load is totally cold. There's no signs of any heating in it at all. Okay, we're coming up to 10 minutes running time now, and the output transistors there, the heatsink is 58 degrees. I mean, if I ever feel round on the transistors themselves, I mean, it's not like one side feels any hotter than the other. So I'm kind of thinking that there's nothing abnormal happening. I'm kind of just thinking that perhaps this amplifier, yeah, it can do 15 watts, but it certainly can't stay cool at 15 watts. And in fact, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't even stay cool at 5 watts. But I'm flying blind now because you know, I've never done this before. But I would have thought that this heatsink, just being a little bit of bent aluminium, it hasn't got any cooling fins on it or anything. So I'm guessing that it would struggle to lose the heat anyway. Now the actual, I can see that this has been running for nearly 15 minutes now, and the actual output voltage coming from the amplifier has dropped slightly. It was over 4 volts and it's now 3.99. I guess that's not really a lot of difference, but I'm also just wondering if now this heatsink is warming up, that the PTCs, well, I think the thermistors on here, the thermistors are actually backing down the gain slightly to just stop the amplifier overheating any further. But there doesn't appear to be, you know, any distortion on there. Right, we've been on 20 minutes, and I think the amplifier reached, well, it's reached a high of, I think, 58.7, but I think the temperature has stopped increasing now, and the output does seem to be maintained at around the 2 watts. But that's hot. Yeah, I wouldn't like to keep my fingers on that. The actual output it's strange that the output transistors down here, yeah, I suppose they do feel hot. The emitter resistors are relatively cool. It's just, it is actually the transistors themselves that are running quite warm. So as I keep saying, everything, it does appear to be running hot, but nothing. And to me, I kind of would almost call that abnormal. But the left and right channels, they are symmetrical. It's not like there's one transistor running hot and there's one running cold. Everything, you know, does seem to be similar. So everything's had 10 minutes to cool down, and the transformer's still warm, but the aluminium heatsink, now we've turned the volume down, has effectively cooled down back to its, effectively I think around what its quiescent temperature was, which was you know, around, I think it was 34 degrees, and it's 33 degrees now. It's a little bit cooler. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking that perhaps there is nothing wrong with this amplifier apart from the fact that it hasn't really got enough cooling to sustain you know, a high output level. I think the other thing I'm quite interested in is just to see what 2 watts of audio power actually sounds like, because I suspect it's you know, more than maybe I would think. So I think I'll just try plugging a speaker in, because I don't actually have a feel for what 2 watts sounds like. Now I'm guessing this isn't going to be a particularly precise test, because a speaker doesn't look the same as a resistor to the amplifier. Different impedance levels, etc. All to do with frequency and all that good stuff. But I still think it would be interesting to find out what a 5 kilohertz sine wave does sound like. Yeah, that sounds quite horrid. Yeah, at a much higher volume level than I would probably ever listen to music at. Well, after all that messing about, I think it's about time we actually got the show on the road, because there's just been far too much buggeration on this one. We've got our a piece of paper here that we're going to write down the output voltage from the amplifier on, and we're going to write it down. We're actually going to start at 1 kilohertz, and we're going to go up to 200 kilohertz, and then we're going to come back to 1 kilohertz and go back to 10 hertz, just to stop us, you know, minimising the amount of adjustment we do on the signal generator. I'm going to do the test at 1 watt rather than 2 watts, because I just think everything will run a little bit cooler. Because again, when I was having the problems the other day, I think what kicked the amplifier over the edge was doing these low frequency tests. Because I think I was just taking far too long. Yep, signal generator set to 1 kilohertz. Increase the volume control on the amplifier to 2.82. Good enough. 2 kilohertz. 2.09. 4 kilohertz. 3.14 volt, and that's a bit of a jump up in voltage. 6 kilohertz, 8 kilohertz. We're at 100 kilohertz now, and we're at 7.921 volts. Right, now we're going to do the lower part of the frequency sweep. How are we doing on temperatures? That heatsink is back up to 61 degrees, which is, you know, I think that's, again, it's a bit toasty considering this thing's only outputting 1 watt. Right, 800, 2.88 volts, 600, 3.04, 400, 3.44, 200, 40 hertz, 5.79, 20 hertz, 5.64, final one, 10 hertz, 5.304, and I've turned the gain right down on the volume control right down on the amplifier now. Well, I'm going to plot this out in a graph, but first impressions, it strikes me as being a bit strange in that I don't think this is going to produce the beautiful kind of bandwidth curve that you see in all the textbooks, where, you know, it starts off low. What do you call it? An inverse bathtub, I suppose, is it? Yeah. Rather than being the bathtub curve, it actually goes the other way. because the at 2 kilohertz, the output voltage is at a minimum 2.8, but at just 10 hertz it's 5, and at 80 kilohertz it's 8.2. So it's it's 3 times bigger. Here's that result, and to me it looks like utter garbage, but I say that based on the fact that I've never done one of these tests before. But it appears that the bit of the, well, I suppose you could say it's flat where you might find it useful. It's flattish between, I don't know, 100, let's call it 100 hertz. Well, it's not really, is it? Let's call it flat between 150 hertz and 10 kilohertz, relatively flat. But this is a reference level that we set up here. This is our 1 watt, which is 2.8 volts. But when we were at 10 hertz, the output rose to 5 volts output. But when we actually crank the frequency up, and I don't know, let's look at up at 30 hertz, we're at 8 volts. So it's nearly doubled the output voltage. So I don't know what I'm looking at there. Certainly doesn't look like what I've seen in the box. So what's going on? I think I might just try repeating this test using the ceramic resistors rather than these wire wound dummy loads that I'm using at the moment. I haven't noticed anything odd on the oscilloscope when I was doing the measurements, but I actually did do a quick and dirty test on this amplifier when I first bought it, and although I didn't bother to plot the results out, I don't remember anything looking like this. So although I know that this test box that I've built is constructed correctly, there's no errors in it regarding wiring or anything like that. Could it be something like these loads are causing the amplifier to resonate or do something silly? I guess the only thing to do is actually repeat the test with the ceramic resistors. I've set everything up again, and I've got rid of my fancy home-built dummy load with the wire wound Chinese resistors in, and I've replaced it with some more Chinese ceramic resistors. Now I know that these are less inductive than the wire wound ones. I can't exactly remember how much less inductive they are, but we're going to try the test again. Now, just a quick and dirty look at the frequency response curve for the two loads, because I wanted to see if it could be the fact that my test dummy load box that I manufactured, it does use rather cheap and nasty wire wound power resistors in it. They're kind of a knockoff of the alcohol resistors, but I suspect they're nowhere near as good. Anyway, they were a tenth of the price, and that's why I bought them. So the graph that you're looking at shows the power output from the amplifier. I tried to set it as closely as I could to 1 watt at a frequency of 1 kilohertz, and you can see there that really there isn't a great deal of difference between the two loads. The ceramic load is the blue line, and the Arcol style wire wound resistors are the purple ones. I think that the slight differences in the levels is just due probably to the gain being set slightly different, and maybe the amplifier was running a bit hotter on one of the tests or a bit cooler, but I don't think it's significant. And really what I wanted to prove was that the test box that I'd manufactured didn't appear to be doing anything too silly. So yeah, not saying it's perfect, but yeah, it looks okay.